I don't know how this happened, but on release day, I was able to purchase the Fear of God Athletics Model 2 for 40% off. If you follow me on Instagram, then you already know of this and you actually were able to partake in the little jig that I found. Now, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you'd be well served to do so because I am constantly posting secret links, early drops, and things of that sort. But even at just a little over $100, are the Fear of God Athletics Model 2 worth your money? What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul, and today we're going to be talking about everything relating to the Fear of God Athletics Model 2 basketball. The sneakers just arrived today, so for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at all of the details that make this sneaker up. We'll discuss sizing, and I will throw them on toe with a few different outfits. Once I've spent a little bit of time with them, however, I will give you a detailed long-term review actually on and off the court, similar to what I did with the Model 1 variant. Now, just before we jump into it, I did want to let you know that the Locust&WildHoney Genesis Collection Drop 4 is now officially live. Everything from the G04 denim that many have been asking about, the highly reviewed and oh so beloved Perfect Zip Up jacket, the Grace bracelet, and much more are now available for purchase. So be sure to go ahead and hit the link in the description to shop the Locust&WildHoney store. If you'd like a review or sizing help, go ahead and hit the link at the top of the screen for my Locust&WildHoney review. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into these sneakers here, the Fear of God Athletics Model 2 basketball. Beginning with the unboxing, it looks like the Fear of God Athletics team did decide to simplify getting this box open into the shoe, because if you guys remember the first model, it was an absolute mission to get the shoe. It was a beautiful packaging to say the least, but it was a little overboard. It was kind of a lot. But yeah, the unboxing experience is a little bit more simple, but every bit as tasteful. Once inside the box, you do have the sneakers tightly wound and encased in some nice tissue paper. And here we have the sneakers. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent with you guys. Upon receiving the shoes, I was expecting a good shoe for sure, but I've kind of become desensitized because Jerry tends to be somewhat of a word salad connoisseur. And so while I thought the shoe was gonna be good, I did not know that this is what would ultimately come of the Model 2, and I mean that in the best way. The upper is comprised of an engineered inner booty made from a monofilament that gives a little bit of stretch to the construction of the upper, but is mainly there to be extremely breathable, an attribute I know many hoopers will appreciate. That is fused to a super soft suede material, allowing for precise fitment, some lockdown, structure, and of course overall premium luxury feel, which actually does lean into what Jerry's vision was for the shoe, to be able to be worn on court as well as off. Now, as it pertains to the midsole and outsole, the team over at Adidas and Fear of God provide a TPU shank engineered light strike encased in RPU material that helps with energy return, leading to a feeling of additional propulsion. This will help you have more explosive movements, but in addition to that, a quicker first step. This is something perfect for people like myself who heavily rely on being quick. The outsole does feature a multi-directional radial traction pattern, which has been proven to provide a solid amount of grip on the hardwood. And the shoe continues to prove me wrong and impress, because my initial thoughts on this style of traction pattern, as well as for this material for outsole, it being translucent, I assume that the grip would be pretty bad. And while I do anticipate the shoe picking up a lot of dust as you play on the hardwood, the grip on the shoe is truly so impressive. The shoe is a basketball shoe. This is every bit a basketball shoe that I can think of, because when you come to think about it, you do have a super breathable upper that does feature a little bit of stretchability, pliability, if you will. You've got a nice amount of stability and energy return in the midsole, and of course you've got the immense traction through the outsole that truly is very impressive, much more impressive than I had originally intended. The shoe surprises me. This shoe absolutely surprised me in every capacity. But one thing that did not surprise me is this eyesore that is this bulbous Adidas logo branding. When I saw them in the pictures, you guys know I was not a fan. And in person, I'm still not a fan. Now, does that shape my overall thoughts or perception on the shoe, my opinions, if you will? I will say in terms of looks and aesthetic, I think I like the Fear of God one more now that I have these in hand, but that's not to say this is a bad shoe whatsoever. And I do anticipate this shoe being an absolute performer, much, much better than that of the Fear of God 1 model. But realistically, only time will tell once I get these on the court and hoop in them. So to answer the question that I posed at the beginning of the video, are these worth that $100 price point? I would definitely say so. The technology behind the shoe is pretty excellent. The shoe does have a lot of promise simply based on what I've seen so far. I think this could potentially be a very good basketball shoe, but I'm still not convinced that I would wear these both on court as well as off court. The 1 model to me looks quite a bit better, so I don't have an issue wearing that off court with an athleisure type of outfit. And they look like a performance shoe. I don't know if I could kind of sell these as an ideal lifestyle sneaker, maybe athleisure-ish, but you're really walking a fine line at that point. But before I let you go, I would be remiss to not talk about sizing. Sizing with regard to this shoe, they fit just like the Model 1. So for that shoe, I did go for size 9. These are also size 9. They fit equal. I would say the main difference being is that the shoe does feel a lot more locked down, so I'm not sliding around as much inside of the shoe as I did with the Model 1. But in that very same breath, they are just as narrow as the Model 1. So if you do find yourself in that intermediary space that you might be between 2 sizes, I might go ahead and take a half size up. Ultimately, I do stand pretty indifferent about the shoe. I'm not going to say that they're amazing by any stretch. I mean, the fact is I have a lot of basketball shoes and I don't know necessarily that I would pick these over those. I'd say wait until I do my full, I guess like long-term review of the sneakers and I can give you a more definitive opinion. But as it relates to the overall aesthetic, I'm not going to say that they're terrible because they don't look bad by any stretch. I think that anybody commenting how bad they are or so on and so forth, I think that's hyperbolic. This is not a bad looking shoe by any stretch. However, at the same time, I would say if you sit on the polar opposite side of the spectrum saying that these are the most gorgeous shoes that's ever been released, I wouldn't agree with that opinion either. And that kind of leads me to the case in point. I do expect to feel a bit more excitement when I unbox something from Jerry Lorenzo. You guys know I've been a fan of his for years and years now. I've been reviewing everything relating to Fear of God Essentials, and of course Fear of God Athletics, Fear of God Nike, just pretty much anything Fear of God has been on this channel. And I'm still a fan of the brand. I'm still a fan of Jerry Lorenzo, well, at least as a designer, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else he has next for us, because if I'm honest, for Fear of God Athletics, at least in partnership with Adidas, I don't think this is his best work ever. And I sincerely believe that he has something up his sleeve for when this contract is over. I'm not saying I know anything on the inside by any stretch, but I can absolutely see Jerry and Adidas splitting ways and Fear of God Athletics becoming its own entity. And I think the best is actually yet to come for Fear of God Athletics. But again, this is merely speculation. I don't know anything, but I'd be interested in hearing what you guys have to say in the comments below around the Fear of God Athletics Model 2 basketball sneaker. I'm absolutely very excited about the lows. I didn't really highlight the highs necessarily because these are going back to Adidas. I don't really mess with them. After trying them on, I feel like they're too high. They look too silly on my feet. I am a shorter person, and so because I have shorter legs, I look like a tree stump in these shoes. So these are going back to Adidas. These are keepers. I'm gonna hoop in these and I'm gonna do my long-term review on these shoes. So I will go ahead and end it right there. Don't forget to comment your thoughts. I really want to hear what the community has to say about Fear of God Athletics in general, but more specifically about these shoes. And do you agree with my takes? I'm interested. This is like a very Fear of God-esque community, so I do think you guys are gonna have or serve as a very strong indication for how Jerry's fan base feels about this new line and new sneaker. What is good, guys? Editing Paul here, and pardon the interruption, but I did forget to touch upon a subject regarding card in the Fear of God Athletics Basketball Model 2, and that is the potential or the prospect of this shoe changing my mind, which is very much so within the realm of possibility, because if you guys saw my review of the Model 1, then you already know it didn't exactly impress me too much until I got the all white version. And as silly as that sounds, the shoe has actually gotten a ton of wear out of me, as you can see by how beat up these shoes are. The all whites are just very wearable, and Jerry Lorenzo himself already leaked or gifted a pair to Gabe Vincent, which does look very promising. Also, Jerry did already leak a potential collaboration version of this shoe with the former MVP Derrick Rose, and the colorway looks very promising, almost reminiscent of the Y3 ZG Knit Pure Boost back in the day. My hope is that they come in a low top version, because that would be a little bit more preferential, but two color options that could potentially make me feel a little bit warmer to this overall model. But for now, to me, this looks too much like a performance shoe. If the goal was to make a shoe that was both wearable on the court as well as off of it, then I do believe there is still a little bit more tweaking and work to be done for the Model 2. If you did enjoy today's video, if you want to see the next video, the long-term review on these, please be sure to like today's video and subscribe to my channel with notifications on. This would be the best way to encourage me to get that video out quickly as possible. And if you're looking for some new clothes, go ahead and hit the link below to shop Locust&WildHoney Genesis Collection Drop 4. This is by far and beyond the best collection ever in terms of quality, fabrics, fit. This is the most proud I've ever been about Locust&WildHoney and the direction we're going, and we're just getting started because I'm already working on spring summer 2025. But with that to say, guys, thank you so much for the continued support. I really do love what I get to do here on YouTube by making content of those products, and I will never take it for granted. Finally, I did want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. All this stuff, shoes, clothing, all of this stuff pales in comparison in regard to importance in light of what really actually matters, and that is God, and that is people, that is your families. So my number one prayer is that through this season, you'd be reminded of how much God loves you, his presence is with you always, and that the Spirit of God would descend over your whole family, and that this Christmas would be filled with love and quality time and all of the good things that this life has to offer. I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Peace and be blessed.